Readings from Ghosts, Ghouls, and Other Horrors. Episode 10. The Ghost of Lieutenant Schenck. It is always fascinating to hear two versions of the same story because in so doing we get an idea of how differently people remember things. But when the story involves a supernatural event and both versions agree, what then? This particular story was told years afterwards by two individuals, one a colonel in the army and the other the sister of the man who died. According to the colonel's version, Mrs. A.D. Schenck, the wife of an artillery captain stationed at Fort Warren, Boston, cried out one morning at about 11 o'clock and insisted that she had just seen her son killed. The son was a lieutenant in the infantry and was serving in the Philippine Islands. Despite all efforts of her family and friends to assure her that what she had seen was merely the result of over-anxiety and imagination, she refused to be calmed. Later in the day, a telegram came from the War Department with the message that the lieutenant had indeed been killed, and at the very hour she had known about it. The story told by Mrs. Schenck's daughter, Elizabeth, was even more detailed than that of the colonel. She said that at the time her mother had been sitting in a chair sewing. Suddenly she gave a little cry, jumped up and said, "Oh, I just saw your brother Will. His shoulder disappeared as he fell backwards." After this, recalled Elizabeth, her mother had been restless all day, so much so that they hid the evening newspaper from her. The next day, she said, a definite story appeared reporting the death of her brother. As in the account given by the colonel, Elizabeth stated that her mother had reacted at the precise moment that the lieutenant died. Only one minor point in the two versions of the story differed. The colonel said that the incident took place in Boston, and Miss Schenck reported that it had occurred in Fort Screven, Georgia. But there is a reasonable explanation for this. The dead man's father had been stationed at Boston with the colonel just prior to a transfer to Fort Screven, and considering that the story was told so many years later, it is understandable that the colonel made a slight mistake. The fact that Mrs. Schenck knew the exact moment when her son died, however, cannot be overlooked. Thank you.